Good morning everybody, thanks for joining me again. Well, the plan was to go to Hexworthy up here on Dartmoor and take a walk to Fairy Bridge and around Downridge and back, but that is quite high up on the moor and the weather is atrocious. Even the sheep are sheltering behind Coomstone Tor here. But never mind, you've got to make the most of the conditions you're given. So undeterred, I'm going to just take a short walk down into the woodland first and see if the conditions are any better there. And then you never know. It's still early in the morning, so if I get some breaks in the weather, there might be some dramatic skies and obviously the Tor here. And if it gets much better, a quick drive over to Hexworthy, which isn't far away. Let's see what we can find, shall we? I've just reached the edge of the woodland. Didn't film anything walking down. It was just horizontal rain, although it does look like it's brightening up slightly. Anyway, even here on the edge of the wood, having to watch the cameras because every now and again a gust of wind blows all the rain off the leaves. But it's a different world down here. Windy and everything's sheltering on the top of the moor down here. Not sure if you can hear it with the this microphone, but the birds are singing already. So I'm going to go quietly down the hill here towards the River Dart and see what we can find. It's definitely sheltered in this woodland. As I said, the birds are singing, and I switched from thinking about landscapes to thinking about woodlands, and you start to, firstly I start looking for the birds, and normally unsuccessfully, and I also start looking for details like this fallen tree here. Firstly the mosses take over and some lichens, but then other things start to grow like this wood sorrel. Here comes the rain again. So I'll continue to look around and look for the small things and maybe some compositions of the trees, but I'm only going to take a photograph if I see something that's really good. I don't think I'm going to be... Let's just shelter the camera, shall we? Oh dear. Let's try that again. So I don't think I'm going to be filming much B-roll this morning. It's raining on and off quite heavily. The wind's blowing all the water off the leaves here. So I'm having to keep the cameras protected. A shower cap is always a handy thing to have in the bag. But as I said, it's about the detail this morning. I think what I have found is what light there is shining through some of the younger leaves, and you can sort of play them off against the darker background. Not sure if they're making shots, but it's fun trying. And this mountain ash or rowan here, there's some smaller details of it, which I'm again trying to isolate and blur out in the background. Not sure if the shots will come to much, but it's one of those mornings when I've got nowhere else to be and I can just enjoy a bit of experimentation with the photography. So let's carry on and see what else we can find. Okay, let's make our way down to the river. There's a lovely stream that just sort of cascades down this ravine here. And maybe there's a chance of some waterfall shots, if only small. This is a lovely time to come down to the river on a dull day like today. A bit dark in the forest because of all the leaves and the trees in full leaf. But what you don't have is all the white reflections on the water. Absolutely no sunlight. There's a slight drizzle coming down. I'm just going to walk upstream a little bit more. There's a place where I know I can get down to the side of the river. And I'm going to try and take a shot straight up the river with the trees over the top. Haven't been there for a couple of years, so may not pay off, but let's go see anyway. Well, I'm not sure if this shot's going to work. It's not quite as I remember it. There's a very large fallen tree behind you there, and there's a lot more vegetation growing out of the rocks just at the moment, so it's obscuring half the river. That's why I've come out a little bit further. Some quite deep water behind me here, so this is as far as I can get. And I'm not sure if this composition really works, so I might move on a little bit more, see what else there is. Maybe I'm being a little bit picky. Well, although I'm not really sure about this shot, I'm going to take it anyway. I might see something when I get at home that I can't see now, but I'm going to try two things. Let me show you in the back of the camera. I've got a circular polarizer on, trying to cut down as much of the reflection as possible, and as you can see I'm zoomed in up the river a little bit. I'm going to try two shots, one really close in, maybe about there, somewhere there, just framing the tree that's bending over in the distance and this small sapling on the left hand side. 1 second exposure just to smooth the water a little, f11 for a good depth of field. So I'll try one shot there. Let's just focus on this boulder, which is about half the way into the shot. In fact, let's look a bit closer. There's one a little bit closer which I might try, that one. And then let's zoom out a little bit, because I might want to make this into a letterbox shot. I'm not going to bother taking lots of shots to make a pano. Again, let's check the focus again. and take another one. Before I move, I think I might just try one more photo of the water behind me here. I think I said it would make a nice foreground, but I couldn't get in front of it and look up the river. But I can look across and to the trees hanging down over the other side, so I'm sure if I smooth the water out I can make that into quite a nice photo. So that's the shot, just looking across that little cascade up to the trees. Let's give that a go. I'm going to try different shutter speeds, maybe 1 second and 2 seconds. F11, ISO 50. If it's any good, let's see what they look like. Well, I'm not really sure if any of those photos work, but I've climbed up away from the river now. It is starting to brighten up, and as you can see, I'm starting to get a bit warm. I had 3 layers on when it was raining, and now the sun is out and it's getting very humid. With any luck, we might be able to go to Fairy Bridge from Hexworthy. But before I do, just look at this wonderful tree I've found. As I said, they do leave quite a lot of the fallen trees in this woodland, and this one is just something special, isn't it? It's fallen down between these other two, and it's almost like its branches are out supporting the other two. So I'm going to see what I can make of that. So I've got a circular polarizer on. I'm not cutting out all of the reflection. There's a nice sheen to that log, so just leaving a bit. I'm focused in. Let's focus in on the nearest point of this log just there. There we go. Half a second, F11, ISO 100. Let's see what that looks like. Some lovely detail to this fallen tree. I have got the camera quite high, trying to make a square crop of this and cut out the sky, which is making lots of highlights, as you can see at the top. Plus I might try moving around slightly and see if I can get any slightly different compositions. Well, I have tried a couple of different things. I've got a little bit higher up the bank, looked down, and on this one I've just tipped the camera down and then up, leaving a bit of space either at the top or the bottom of the shot, but knowing I really want to make it into a square crop. And that just changes the perspective on the tree slightly, so who knows. Let's move on. I think I'm going to go back to the car, got to pack the stuff away and make my way to Hexworthy and see if we can go and find Fairy Bridge. Well, before I do, I will talk about this photo. So you can see it's a very strong image, and I think when I publish this, that's what I'm going to call it, strong. The tree almost looks like it's never giving up. But you can see what I can see, this very almost human back and the two arms outstretched. So I'm using some very classic settings for this. Got a 16mm lens on, which on this camera is at 24mm, f11 and ISO 100. And because I'm on a tripod, I'm just being able to play around with the shutter speed to get the right exposure. I like the black and white image of this. I've done a sort of negative vignette on this, which makes the tree stand out. Well, I'm back at the car and just had a quick walk around Coomstone Tor just to take some handheld shots, and I'm now just getting changed so I can drive and sheltering behind the hatchback here. So still raining, but it is clearer, so I'm going to give Hexworthy a go and yeah, let's see what we find. So this was all about trying to find the right compositions. There's lots of different rocks here at Coomstone, so tried this one first, looking through this gap. Even though you've got this large rock on the left, the weather on the right balances it. And this, as you can see, lots of ferns coming out this time of year, so I tried to capture those. Made sure that one at the bottom is just in frame. May have overdone the sky a little bit, maybe. And this one, less obvious, but the square crop works nice with the rock almost coming into the frame in the middle. There's almost a triangular shape there, and that's what I was looking for. Well, hopefully you can hear me. Just walking up this track from the small car park at Hexworthy beside the river Swincombe up to Fairy Bridge. And yeah, it's really nice. A nice, almost sizable river. Bridge over there and some old farmhouse ruins over there as well, so I think there might be some photographs. Let's go and have a look. I've just walked a little way past Fairy Bridge. Nice that it is. Saw all these buildings, so we've come to explore. I'm not going to guess what they are. They look like old farm buildings, but there was a lot of mining work here as well. And when you look at this gate post here, that's quite substantial, so unless it was a beginnings to a sort of an estate or something maybe. So plenty of photos to be had here. Don't know what settings to use quite yet. I think I'll just show you those when I show you the photos. It's going to be a balance between all this moving foliage, and of course it's quite dark in here, so getting the right exposure. Anyway, let's give that a go. As I said, I'm not going to guess what these are. Last couple of weeks ago, if you watch my videos, I was up at the mine workings the other side of Down Ridge and made some comments about some of the ramps and stuff being places to tip ore and stuff, but boy wasn't I wrong. What I was actually stood next to was an old viaduct that fed quite a large water wheel, so yeah, there was a lot more industry up here than I thought. Anyway, less of the waffling and let's get on with some photos. So as I said, it was quite dark and the foliage of the trees was moving quite quickly, so I upped the ISO a little just to give me a fighting chance of getting a faster shutter speed. So I quite like this arrangement of standing stones here. Now I have no idea what they were actually used for. Seems part of the house, or maybe some sort of stable. But this large gate post is unmistakable, and must have been some large gate hanging off this. Quite like the black and white on this one. And I took this one more of a record shot, wasn't really thinking of a nice composition. I do like the wall, the gate post, like the tree in the background, and it just gives you a little bit of an idea of where I was and what there is around. And this one most local people know as John Bishop's house. He worked in the tin mine just downstream from here, and he was a stonemason, I believe, probably responsible for those large gate posts. But this makes a lovely dramatic image of his old cottage. Just come back from the buildings a bit, back to the bridge. What a lovely spot with the river. Just past some mares with some foals. There's some more coming along here. Try and get some film for you, but don't want to scare them. So just going to take some photos around the bridge and the stepping stones, which are the other side, and then go up onto the hill. There's some ruined houses up there as well, and it'd be quite nice to get a photo, I think, from up in the ruins looking down at the bridge. Anyway, let's have a look around here first, and if I've got any good images I'll show you them now. Well, I quite like this one, and although I've been calling this Fairy Bridge, most locals know this as Swincolm Bridge, as that's the river it goes over. I believe there's a ferry concreted into the bridge somewhere. I quite like the stepping stones too. Thought it'd be nice to try and capture both the stones and the bridge in one image. The sky helped here. I think that would have been very bland without the clouds. And with this one, as you can see, just trying to exclude the bridge. Quite difficult to get a good composition. The trees on the horizon help lead your eye into that sort of left hand side and give a bit of balance. It's all about composition. There you go, look at those little sweeties just catching up with Mum. Hello, mate. Yes. That's obviously what he thinks of me. Yeah, quite sensibly the foals were a lot more wary, and I didn't want to get very close to them, so I took this with my lens out at 55mm so I could keep my distance, and got a few shots. Then I walked up the hill above Fairy Bridge to Molly Treble's cottage. Sorry I didn't film anything, but the batteries were getting low at this point. And I was trying to get an image of the ruins and compress the shot so the bridge was larger in the shot. But with both of them, I should have maybe focus stacked this and taken two images, one of the foreground, one of the background. You can tell that the distance is out of focus, but still a nice spot and a nice view. Well everybody, I think I'm going to call it a day. It's just started to rain again. I've tried to come down to the Swincolm River here to just try and take maybe some long exposure shots of the river, but can't get close enough, so I think that's it for today. Anyway, hopefully I've shown you the changing faces of Dartmoor today, with all the different weathers, these old buildings, mine workings, farms, the woodland and the open moor, so a bit of everything. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, it doesn't cost anything, and I'll see you again out there somewhere soon. But for now, cheerio. A rainy walk back to the car.